Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin, alongside Sal Grinstead. How you doing, Sal? Another week of college football under the belt.
That's right. We got a lot of blowouts, a lot of close games, and a lot of action.
Yeah, like I was just saying pre-show, every game this weekend was either a very good finish or a massive blowout. There was kind of no in between this weekend, and that kind of happens a lot with college football, but that was the case with the NFL as well. But let's get to college football so far. One of the big games of this weekend was Auburn traveling to Oklahoma. We've seen Oklahoma play in a couple big games so far this season. They took down Michigan already at home, and now Auburn comes to town to play against them. Their former quarterback, Jackson Arnold, came back to town, and the fans gave him a rude awakening or rude homecoming. They did not like him there last year. He got benched, I think it was twice, right, for Michael Hawkins, the quarterback for Oklahoma. So testy game coming in, and defense were flying around. This Oklahoma defense is unbelievable. It was a struggle to score points. It was 10-10. It was 16-10 late in the game. Oklahoma on top. Arnold led a drive to go up by one, but then Mateer and the boys got right back at him, scored a touchdown to go up, and they held on to that lead. 10 sacks in the game for Oklahoma.
Yeah, this was an incredible game to watch. We kind of knew it was going to be a defensive battle coming into the game. The story of the game, though, was the illegal touchdown pass, illegal formation for Oklahoma to take the lead here, and that ended up being the difference in the game. I'm not necessarily sure on the rulings there, but I thought it was a pretty cool trick play.
That reminded me of the Johnny Manziel play that they ran with the Browns when he was like pretending to go off the field. He was talking to Shanahan, and Shanahan was like, go, go, go.
Yep.
So, like, I didn't know that was a rule either. I guess that must be a college rule where I guess you can't pretend to substitute off the field, actually stay on near the sideline and then go for that. But I agree with you, Sal. Brilliantly designed play.
I mean, they didn't call it, so it turns out being a great play call.
Yeah. And like you said, they only won by a touchdown.
Yep. And like you said, this Brent Venables defense, man, they are swarming to the ball. 10 sacks, ended up being the game changer in that safety they had right there to go up by 7, which I don't know if you're a betting man, Frank, but that covered the spread at 6.5.
Yes, it did.
But yeah, this was another great game for John Mateer. 24-36, 271 yards, touchdown and a rushing touchdown. This was actually his 10th consecutive game with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. I mean, it kind of ruined Jackson Arnold's homecoming game over there. And, you know, he was kind of getting into it with the fans a little bit. I kind of like that.
Yeah, a little bit of action.
He told a fan, I'm sure you'd like to be me.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. That was
pretty cool. He played a solid game, but like you said, I mean, it's the sacks. Can't take 10 sacks. So,
yeah, and obviously this Venables defense is unbelievable, but there were some times where Arnold could have got that ball away. He held it a little too long a few times, including that last drive where he got sacked. What was it, 3 plays in a row to end the game?
Yeah, that was brutal. And that last sack, a safety to end the game, really just put the icing on the cake for this Oklahoma defense.
That's a sack you cannot take, but Oklahoma takes down Auburn and ruins Jackson Arnold's homecoming. And now Oklahoma all the way inside the top 10. They look like a force to be reckoned with. But we'll get into the new top 25 as we get into the video. Another marquee matchup from this weekend. Michigan headed to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers this weekend. Crazy close game this was. There was a Hail Mary from Dylan Raiola caught. The guy's last name was Barney, the receiver for Nebraska. He had 2 touchdowns. He caught a Hail Mary as time expired in the first half to tie the game up at 17. But in the second half, Michigan just started with a drive where they just ground and pounded Nebraska all the way down the field. It was an 8.5-minute drive. They just took it to Nebraska. And I think they ran for over 250 yards in this game, Michigan did. So just ran all the way up and down the field with them. Nebraska scored late to get a chance, did not recover an onside kick, and lost by 3, 30-27 in this one.
I do want to say before I get into it, the Hail Mary in the first half, that would not have happened if there wasn't an intern head coach there. I mean, they let him run 15 seconds off the clock to get a chance. You could see Matt Rule kind of jumping up and down with the opportunity. You know, your normal head coach calls that timeout, 15 seconds left, makes him punt it. So obviously a little mistake that they'll look into, but that's all good. It didn't seem to hurt him too bad. Bryce Underwood, he's starting to come into his own. He's not really lighting up the scoreboard and the box score, but he was the number 1 prospect coming out. His dual threat ability was what was uncanny about him. They're finally letting him run around. 61 rush yards, including that 37-yard touchdown run. He only really had about 111 pass yards, but didn't seem to matter too much. I mean, the big story for Michigan was Justice Haynes, 149 yards, a touchdown. This was just a great game to watch. Dylan Raiola played a solid game. Mr. Mini Mahomes, he started to play into it just a tad.
Just a tad.
As this year progresses, I only see this Michigan team getting better and better. So
like you said, Bryce Underwood wasn't like the craziest game, but in my opinion, he really controlled this game. He looked more in control of the offense and just like a leader of the team. In the past, especially against Oklahoma on the road, that was his first real test going on the road in a big environment in a big game, and obviously didn't get it done there. But Bryce Underwood looked so much more in control, just running everything. That touchdown run was great. He just made a couple nice throws on the run too that just made me impressed. This guy's going to be very good as he progresses through his career.
I agree. If you didn't look at the box score and like his passing numbers, you'd think he had a terrific game.
I agree. They ran for so much. The Michigan running game was exceptional in this game. It was unbelievable.
It really was. I mean, Nebraska gave them a fight, but I thought they kind of controlled them. Obviously, that late touchdown made it look a little closer than it was, but they really kind of took over in that second half.
Yeah, that first drive of the second half, I mean, really let it done. And you said they made that mistake to let them get the Hail Mary. You think Biff Poggi cared about that? Did you hear his post-game interview stuff?
No, I didn't hear it.
He said he's going to eat some coffee, Haagen-Dazs ice cream, smoke a cigar, and then go to the hospital. I don't know if he thinks he's going to have a heart attack or something, but he's got jokes. And did you hear him trolling Saban on game day?
What's that?
Did you hear him trolling Saban on game day?
No.
Dude, they had him on game day, and they were talking about how Saban owns like a Ferrari dealership or whatever. And I guess Biff Poggi and Saban are friends. They know each other. They must have coached or something along their long careers. They must have overlapped. But he said that he called Saban and said, "Hey, I'll be the first person to buy a Ferrari from you." And then Saban cut him off and said, "Yeah, but then when the time came to make the deal, you got alligator arms and couldn't reach into your pocket." And everyone started dying laughing. And Biff Poggi said, "Well, Nick, you could go ask the Bugatti dealership if I had alligator arms this weekend when I bought my car."
Oh, boy.
This guy was just flexing all over the place on game day. It was wild.
Oh, geez. I mean, while we're on the topic, let's talk about Pat McAfee running like a half a mile to get up that the little dive thing and then tripping down almost completely naked.
He almost had a wardrobe malfunction there after he jumped off.
Yeah. He was digging all in that Speedo.
Yes, he was. And dude, Herb Street made a good point. I was thinking about this. He ran, like you said, like a half mile all the way to the high dive. He had to climb up that entire thing. He's yelling on the microphone, and then he jumped and went very deep into water. You think he ran out of breath down there? Had a little moment of like, oh, geez, like I need to breathe.
I'm about a year estranged from college baseball, so I don't think I could make that run while talking the whole time.
That was pretty funny, though. Pretty
electrifying. That was cool to watch.
And apparently he didn't have the microphone when he said this, but when he was up there, he said that he was going to do a pencil dive in memory for Lee Corso's Ticonderoga pencil.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Pretty cool. That was a pretty electrifying end to college game day on Saturday. So Pat McAfee kind of has to take up for where Lee Corso left, right? He kind of has to be the energy for the end of game day now.
And did you hear Nick Saban hit him with a not so fast, my friend?
I did. Also, he hit him with a "you can't see me" John Cena.
He's really coming into his own on that game day show.
Yes, he is. Nick Saban is golden on TV. It's awesome. Geez. All right, so those were the two really big showdowns between top 25 teams, really big games. A couple games that were marked up as big, but the outcome wasn't as much as we thought. This game was a good game. I guess this final score line is a little bit not indicative of how the game went. Miami, they took down Florida at home 26-7, but this was a defensive battle throughout the entirety of this game. Miami's defense looks good. Florida's defense looks very good as well. It was 13-3 very late in this, or 13-7 late in this ball game. And then Miami had a long drive where they just ran it right down Florida's throat, took it into the end zone, and they never looked back from there. But this game was closer than it seems to be, right, Sal?
It really was. I mean, the story of the game is Lagway just continuing to struggle. He only threw for 61 yards through four quarters. And that only resulted in 7 first downs all game compared to Miami's 21. And they went 0 for 13 on third downs. I mean, you're never, ever going to win a football game if you can't convert on the money downs. And that's why, we talk about it so much, why Miami is so good this year. They're good on third down and they're good in the red zone. You can do that, you're a good football team. And this Miami is proving that they're a good football team when it matters. And, Mark Fletcher Jr., another 100-yard performance back-to-back weeks with a touchdown. This Miami team, they deserve that number 2 ranking spot. They really do.
They do. They took down Notre Dame. Now they take down Florida. Some big wins for this Miami Hurricanes team. Now they go on a bye, and in 2 weeks, they go to Tallahassee to play Florida State. That is going to be a fun one. And if I'm going to put my money on it, game day is going to be there for that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that one. Miami, Carson Beck versus Thomas Castellanos in Florida State. That's 2 weeks from now, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But the Hurricanes look unbelievable, like you said, on third down and in the red zone and on the trenches, both sides of the ball. Offense and defensive line for Miami looks unbelievable. So if they can
big, man. They are big.
They are formidable, man. They are very big. So this Miami Hurricanes team, the U might be back. They might be back.
The U, baby.
Yes, sir. Another big game. This was one of the other, I think there was only 2 top 25 matchups between 2 top 25 teams going head to head. The other one was big noon kickoff, Texas Tech at Utah. This was kind of a weird game to start things off. Defenses were playing very well. There were 5 combined turnovers in the first half of this game. Wild picks all over the place. And it was like back to back plays with picks. It was like it wouldn't stop. And then Darren Morton, the starting quarterback for Texas Tech, got hurt on the first drive of the second half. And you would think the defenses would continue to play well from there. That was not the case. The backup quarterback for Texas Tech came in and started slinging it. Texas Tech went all over the place. Best offense in the country, ends up winning 34-10 over the Utes.
Yeah, I mean, this was, like you said, a sloppy game from the jump. So many turnovers. I want to say Texas Tech had 8 false starts in the first 3 quarters. I mean, that's what happens when you do the clap and you're at a stadium where you can't hear anything. But with all those miscues, they were able to find a way. Will Hammond, the backup quarterback, came in, went 13 of 16, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had 61 yards on the ground, which added a element to this Texas Tech offense that they don't have with Darren Morton. So I think it kind of threw this Utes defense for a little bit of a turn there. In Utah and Devin Dampier, they were just not able to move the football. 4 crucial turnovers there in this game, and they got outscored 24-7 in the fourth quarter. It made it look like it was a much more blowout than it was. But this was just a struggle offensively for Utah, who was looking very good offensively to start the year.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Devin Dampier and how good he's played throughout this season so far on this show. And we were talking during this game. You texted me and you said, this is the type of game that Utah wants to play. And you're right. It was 10-3. And then out of absolutely nowhere, right when Darren Morton got hurt, Hammond came in and it was like the switch flipped and everything changed. The offense started coming through and Utah never got anything going at all.
This was Texas Tech's first win in a ranked versus ranked matchup since 2008.
Wow.
They took down number 7 Oklahoma State.
Uh-oh. We don't want to bring up the Pokes this week, Sal. What's happening with Gundy, dude? Are they going to
Man, they're calling for his head over there in Stillwater. It was our first loss against Tulsa at home since 1951.
That is absolutely brutal, dude. Brutal.
Yeah. Zane Flores has, I want to say, 430 passing yards through 3 games. So he's at 110 yards a game.
It's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. Yeah, Oklahoma State's been tough, but we'll save you from your misery on that one. We'll change the subject. So let's talk about a couple other teams in the top 25 that got handed victories this week. LSU took down Southeast Louisiana 56-10. Not very good game there. Nussmeier looked a lot better in this game against lesser competition. That's what you're going to have to do. Oregon beat Oregon State 41-7. Not a very competitive game, this one either, but a rivalry game at that. Old Pac-12 game. Florida State beat Kent State 66-10, and they just continue to cover these ridiculous spreads. Florida State does.
I want to say it was 45.5 coming in.
Yeah, it was 45.5, and they covered it by 15 points. Ridiculous. Texas took down Sam Houston 55-0. Arch started to finally look pretty good in this game. You see him run over that guy at the goal line and stand over him. I think he probably should do something in a big game before he starts talking shit. Another ranked matchup that we have not talked about, Indiana, Illinois. This was marked up to be one of the big games in the Big Ten. Really whoever loses this game, their playoff hopes kind of were over. That's kind of how they were building it up. And the Indiana Hoosiers came out swinging. 63-10, the final score. 63-10. I texted you before this game, and for some reason, I was feeling an Illinois blowout. And boy, was I wrong. Immediately into this game, Indiana just dominated all three phases of the ball. Special teams, defense, they were just going all over the place.
This was an absolute beatdown in Bloomington, Indiana. Kurt Sinegny, he just continues to win anywhere he goes. They had 31 first downs in this game compared to Illinois' 9. They were 8 for 11 on third down. Their quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, is again off to a great start. He should be on Heisman watch. He has no turnovers yet this year. He went 21 of 23 for 267 yards and 5 touchdowns. Arguably the most efficient performance of the year. In Illinois, they struggled. They went 1 for 10 on third down, and I love to talk about it. That's the money down. You can't convert on third down. You're not going to win the football game.
They couldn't get anything going ever. Not even for a second in this ball game was Illinois in it. It was over from the jump, and that is just not the type of game I thought. I don't know if I want to say that I thought last year was kind of a fluke for Indiana, but I didn't know if they would be able to repeat what they did last year. They had so many transfers. They had that basically the entire JMU team plus the coach came over and just changed the culture. I didn't know if they were going to be able to sustain it, but it looks like they are so far. And I got to give a bunch of credit to Sig Signetti.
Yeah, it's just a huge win. He kind of talked about it after the game. He knew they would be okay the way Duke was able to get down the field on this Illinois team. He said if they can do that, then I don't really have much to worry about.
Google him, man. He wins. What a beast. What a beast. So let's keep going through the top 25. Ole Miss destroyed Tulane 45-10. We mentioned last week that could have been a good game. That was not the case.
Boy, was I wrong.
Tennessee beat down on UAB 56-24. Joey Aguilar and that Tennessee offense just continues to fire on all cylinders. Georgia Tech beat Temple in a little bit of a weird game for them. They didn't start off so good, but Haynes King and the boys ended up holding it down, ended up winning that game by 3 scores. Vanderbilt, another 70-point game. 70-21, they beat Georgia State, obviously a group of 5 team, but that's what you're supposed to do to them, and they're doing it. And don't forget, they beat the hell out of South Carolina last week. This Diego Pavia-led Vanderbilt team is legit.
100%. Team to watch out for in the SEC.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Another team to watch out for in the SEC. Now, 4-0 Missouri took down South Carolina. This was kind of a cagey game. Both defenses played pretty well. Every time I looked over to the score of this game, it seemed like it changed by a field goal. It was just not easy to get the ball up and down the field. Lenora Sellers did not have a very good game, like he has all year. There was a few splash plays that he made that that's the guy that everyone's talking about as the number 1 NFL prospect, but you just didn't see it on a consistent basis for the South Carolina offense, and they continue to struggle to score the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they're struggling moving the ball. We thought this Shane Beamer-led Gamecock team was going to be a problem all year. And now we've seen back-to-back weekends, they're not able to move the ball against Vanderbilt and Missouri. You look at their stats, I mean, it looks like Lenore Sellers played a solid game, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. But like you said, it's really just a few splash plays that are helping it out. But outside of that, it's just very stagnant offense.
And for the first 2-3 weeks of the season, they were getting carried by their special teams. Beamer ball was really carrying them, and the offense was lagging behind, and it continues to be that way. So if South Carolina can't get their offensive problems figured out, they're not even going to be like a name to be. They're not even going to be close to the top 25 because they already have 2 losses. This early on in the season, having 2 losses in the SEC is almost like a death sentence.
This could turn into being one of the biggest letdowns of the season because I want to say they were preseason number 14, and everybody was riding high on this South Carolina team. But I mean, you lose back-to-back, you're starting to get in dangerous territory.
Yeah. So speaking of letdowns, I'll get there in a second. Notre Dame, they killed Purdue 56-30. Slow start for Notre Dame, long weather delay, and then they came out and pummeled them. And USC kind of had a little bit of a weird game with Michigan State, let them hang around late, but USC looks really good.
They do. I mean,
Aiden Mayava, is that his first name? I don't know, but
Jaden Mayava,
yeah, he looks really good. Last year, at the end of last year, he looked shaky. I thought he was going to transfer. I thought USC was going to try to find another quarterback. This guy could be a dude, and they're ranked 25, going to be higher, and they have a big game coming up against Notre Dame that could project them somewhere.
They do. They have a big game this weekend too, but we'll get to that. But I mean, yeah, they took care of business. Michigan State had a late touchdown to kind of make it look a little closer than it was. But like you said, this USC team, man, they can score with anyone in the country. They're averaging 52.5 points per game through 4 games. Almost unheard of numbers. But, as we know from watching college football the last 4 or 5 years, can this Lincoln Riley team play defense when it matters?
Yep.
So we'll have to see.
So far, USC, Texas Tech, 2 high-powered offenses you're going to have trouble stopping. Absolutely. But I mentioned letdowns. Oh, my gosh. No bigger letdown than that team in Clemson, South Carolina. What in the hell is going on? They fall to 1-3 after they lose to Syracuse at home in Death Valley. They're calling for Dabo's head. Last week he said, you want to call for my head? I win. That's all I do. I win. You want to stop winning? Then I'll leave. I don't know, Dabo. You better relax, dude. They're going to get even more pissed if you keep losing games at home to Syracuse like this.
Yeah, it was a bad loss. And it honestly, before the little delay, it looked like they were kind of giving it a little bit. But, I mean, this offense has struggled all year, and they were made out to be one of the best in the country coming into the year. They're preseason, number 4?
Yeah, 4.
I mean,
Klubnik was supposed to win the Heisman.
And he looks terrible. Their defense, it looks like they don't want to tackle. It looks like this whole team's just given up, and it's their first 1-3 start under Dabo Swinney, and it looks like he's ready to go elsewhere, and it looks like they're ready for him to go elsewhere. So we'll really see what happens with this Clemson team.
And, I mean, if you just flip that game on, they're playing Syracuse, right? So Syracuse also is the orange, right? They're orange. If you looked at that game quickly and just looked at the white team with the orange on the helmet, you would think that was Clemson. They were dominating this game. And Steve Angeli, peanut butter and jelly from Notre Dame, we saw him in the college football playoff last year. He tore his Achilles in this game. So the backup quarterback came in and still didn't fall off at all. Clemson's got a lot of question marks. And like you mentioned, we'll see what happens with Dabo if he continues these wild interviews.
What we've seen the past 10 years, even when Clemson has a slow start, they've always been able to turn around. Like last year, I want to say they started slow again, but they always seem to turn it on. But it doesn't look like this team's going to turn it on.
Can they afford? They're done. 3 losses is out. That's an eliminator in the ACC. Yeah. You can't have 3 losses in the ACC. You're done. You're over unless it's a very bad year for the conference and they somehow win it, right?
But they already have 2 ACC losses.
Oh, yeah, they're done.
That hurts them even more.
Yeah, they're done.
It'd be one thing if they had, 3 out-of-conference losses. That'd be a different story. But already having 2 losses in the ACC with Miami, Georgia Tech, FSU, all of them are undefeated. So your work's really cut out for you.
Clemson 1-3 for the first time under Dabo Swinney, and just a miserable fall off from the number 4 ranked preseason team to out of the top 25 and not getting back in anytime soon. Another crazy game outside the top 25 this weekend, Arkansas, Memphis. 18-point lead Arkansas had in this second half. 18-point lead. Memphis comes roaring back. They scored a 65-yard touchdown on a 3rd down and 3. Crazy run by the back. They take a 1-point lead. Arkansas is driving down to try to kick a game-winning field goal. Looks like they're content to just sit on it and kick that field goal, run out some clock. They hand one off, and Memphis punches it out, recovers it. That game's over. Memphis wins 32-31, and now they look like the Group of 5 team that could make the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, this was just a crazy game to watch. This was the largest comeback in FBS this season.
Yeah.
18-point come from behind victory. Like you said, down 28-10 in the second quarter. This is now back-to-back weeks where Arkansas is driving with a chance to beat an opponent, and they fumble. They did it against Ole Miss last week. Now they did it against Memphis. They're on the 10-yard line. You could pretty much knee it out and kick the game-winning field goal. It was just absolutely incredible scenes in Memphis. You saw the players, the fans. Man, the players were like on the ground crying. It was like the biggest win in history over there. But yeah, this is certainly the team to watch out for right now. 4-0. And they kind of have a favorable schedule. You know, they got USF coming into their house. All their big games the rest of the year are at home. So it's certainly a team to keep an eye on.
Could be interesting. We'll see what happens with those Memphis Tigers, but it looks like as of today, late September, they are the favorite to come out of the Group 5 right now. So we'll see if they can win, take care of business throughout the rest of the year, but we'll see. Another game we should talk about, TCU SMU. We previewed it last week about how this was a classic Big 12 matchup with no defense played, and that's exactly what we got. 35-24 TCU comes on top. Josh Hoover looks great, quarterback for TCU, and Eric McAllister, 8 receptions, 254 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The SMU defense had they didn't even want to tackle him. They didn't want to touch him. They didn't want to get near the guy. It was unbelievable. He ran wild on this defense, especially in the second half. And at TCU and Texas Tech, those two teams, they look pretty good in that Big 12.
They do. And the kind of story coming into the game was Eric McAllister. He's had a slow start to the year. But he proved to everybody he's ready to go. What did you say? You had 3 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns, 254.
Absolutely absurd. And Josh Hoover, another great game, 379 yards, 5 touchdowns. I thought this game was going to be more closer to the SMU Baylor game, you know, like the 47-44. But TCU's defense, they really honestly swarmed to the ball. They had 2 interceptions, crucial interceptions too. They really kind of put it into this SMU team who kind of had the Cinderella run last year, but that's not 2 losses for them early in the season. Their work's going to be cut out for them.
Yeah, Kevin Jennings does not look like the same guy we saw last year. He's making bad turnovers, ill-advised passes across the middle, off his back foot, just not the same guy we saw. It's the guy we saw against Penn State in the playoff game.
Yeah.
That was a tough game for him, and it seems like it may have followed him into the 2025 season. So a few other outcomes we want to talk about here. Here we go. Oof, Washington beat that. I don't know if you saw this one, the Apple Cup, Washington State. Not too impactful of a game, but it was close going down the stretch, and then Washington just turned it on them. Ended up scoring 59 points in that game. That was wild. And then late night on Saturday, what is it, Caden Salter? What's his first name for Colorado?
Caden, yep.
Caden Salter back at quarterback for Colorado, and he had a great day for the Buffs. They win 37-20 over Wyoming. Their defense still doesn't look too good, but Salter had a great day.
He did. I mean, I wasn't kind of sure why they benched him in the first place. I thought he played fine the first 2 games of the year. Had a good game against Georgia Tech, who is now a top 17 team in the country. But yeah, this has kind of been a letdown so far for this Colorado team this year, but it's nice to see them get back on track.
Yeah. So let's talk about the new top 25 that's just been updated. Pretty much the top 5 is really stayed, just a little bit of shuffling going on. Ohio State stays number 1. Miami jumps up to number 2 from number 4, which I like. I think they do look like the second best team in the country. Except because Penn State and LSU, the teams they jumped ahead of, haven't really played anyone. I guess LSU's big win was Clemson, but that doesn't look so good now. Georgia, number 5. We talked about them last week. They are no longer under the radar. Oregon, you texted me on Saturday, Sal, and you said Oregon looks like the most complete team in the country. You still stand by that?
I do, and I'll get into it when we kind of talk about their battle for next week because Oregon plays Penn State, LSU plays Ole Miss. I mean, everybody's going to have their work cut out this weekend, so yeah, we'll get into that. But I love the way this Oregon team is looking to start the year.
And to round out the top 10, Oklahoma up to 7. They look unbelievable with that defense. Florida State at 8. Texas A&M up to 9, and then Texas at 10. Even after winning 55-0, they dropped down a spot because they haven't played anyone except for Ohio State when they lost. Indiana up to 11. Texas Tech at 12, which we talked about. That could be switched. I think Texas Tech might be better.
I agree. Texas Tech should be a little higher.
Yeah. Ole Miss 13. Iowa State still up there at 14. Tennessee, Georgia Tech up 2 spots. Alabama down to 17. Vandy 18, Michigan, Missouri, USC up to 21, which I still think they're getting a little bit of a short end of the stick with that high-powered offense. Notre Dame, Illinois drops 14 spots after getting killed by Indiana, and then 2 new teams in the top 25, TCU, who we just talked about, slides in there, and BYU with the Bear at quarterback. Have you seen that guy? I forget his last name. It's Bear, like Bo Belzer or something like that. He's their quarterback. And he's
For BYU?
number 47.
Yeah, I have seen that. Looks like a linebacker.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I was a little shocked they dropped Auburn out of the rankings, to be honest with you. But I mean, obviously the AP poll doesn't really matter too much when the CFP poll comes out. But
That's true,
yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of shift every weekend with these polls. You know, you see a team on a bye week like Alabama last week, and they still dropped 3 spots. So it gets a little confusing, but you know, it's really all you got to do is win. So
yeah, it seems like this year they're really, really like rewarding the wins. And if you lose, or even if you don't look so great, they're going to bump you down. It seems like they're being more critical with bumping people down this year.
They definitely are. I mean, I couldn't remember a time in my life where, you know, if you're the number 12 team in the country and you lose, you're out of the rankings.
Yeah. Or if you're the number 2 team in the country and you are on a bye, you drop. That doesn't usually happen.
No, it never does. But I do like how they moved certain teams up. I mean, I think Indiana and Texas Tech, they deserve to be that high. I think OU deserves to be in that number 7 spot. Miami deserves that number 2.
I agree.
Obviously, there are certain things you're going to disagree with, but, you know, you could disagree with anything.
Yeah. So. I mean, you know, college football, you know how crazy this conversation gets in December.
Oh, yeah.
Wild. All right, Sal. So what do you think about what are the big games coming up for week 5? I know you mentioned 2 of them there, but this weekend, some massive, massive matchups.
This is going to be the biggest weekend of the year as of right now. Let's go. So many big matchups. We'll start kind of a little bit out of top 25 just to kind of ease you into what's going to be an outstanding weekend. We got number 22 Notre Dame going on the road at Arkansas, who we mentioned earlier, but this is going to be a sneaky good game. Arkansas is still a tough place to play in the SEC, and they've been playing everyone so tight, but you know, Notre Dame is on a mission. They need to blow these teams out if they want a chance to get in the playoffs. So it will be a fun game to watch, though, certainly.
Notre Dame has to win. They have to win.
And they have to win convincingly.
Yeah.
And they kind of did against Purdue. Purdue ran a few trick plays on them last week. Did you see that?
Dude, we need to talk about that. That might be the greatest play I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
That was awesome.
A handoff, a zone read. The quarterback rolls out to the sideline, and then the running back pitches it to him.
That was crazy. Amazing. So did that go down was that a forward pass? Was it a receiving touchdown?
It was behind the line, so it was a lateral. It was I guess kind of like a speed option, but it was a zone read speed option. I've never seen that before.
Unbelievable play call. Yeah. I love it. Every team needs to have that. Everyone who has a running quarterback needs to put that in.
Yeah, that was beautiful to watch. And this is why, you know, defensive coordinators have nightmares every night. Yeah. Because you're doing stuff like that. You can always reinvent the wheel. So, but yeah, this is going to be a fun game to watch this weekend. And then you got a game on Friday night to kind of ease you into the weekend. Number 24 TCU going on the road at Arizona State. You know, we talked about Josh Hoover. He's off to a great start for this TCU team. They're 3-0. Few big wins already with UNC and SMU. But, yeah, I mean, we saw Arizona State. They lost at Starksville, and they've kind of been on a mission to, you know, avenge that loss. And it's Friday night. There's college kids. This Arizona State stadium is going to be rocking on Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
So it's gonna be exciting to see this battle.
Florida State plays on Friday night, too. They go to Virginia.
Yep.
And that spread is only 7.5. So I'm used to seeing those 50, 45-point spreads with Florida State. Yeah. They got one under 10 this week.
Yeah, it'll be their first, you know, real game since Alabama week 1. Mm-hmm. So it'll be nice to watch. But yeah, actually Arizona State is favored right now in this TCU Arizona State game. So early Big 12 matchup, get you going for the weekend. Another kind of non-ranked versus ranked opponent game I want to mention this weekend is Auburn, who just suffered a bad loss at Oklahoma, a battle all game. And now they have to go on the road to Texas A&M, the 12th man, which is arguably the hardest place to play in the country. This is a huge road game for Jackson Arnold and this Auburn team. But A&M is fresh off a bye. And I don't see a world where you go into there with this team fresh and you beat this Aggies team. I don't think it happens.
A&M obviously went into South Bend, took down Notre Dame to put them to 0-2. So they look great so far. Did they just have a bye this past week? I don't think they played, right?
They did, yep.
So bye 2, extra week of rest. We'll see what happens. This could be interesting.
I think this Mike Elko team is going to be ready to go. And then another top 25 matchup here. Number 21 USC going on the road at Illinois, who, like we just mentioned, lost 63-10 last weekend against Indiana. They look to bounce back after that shellacking, but USC, they're favored big right now, and I think they should. But this game has all indications of an absolute shootout and a fun game to watch in the early window Saturday. But I don't think Illinois is going to be able to stop this USC offense.
I don't think so either. They couldn't stop the Indiana offense. I don't think they're going to stop USC's offense. And big noon kickoff, Gus Johnson on the call, the absolute man.
One of the best. One of the goat. But yeah, I mean that'll be a fun game to watch for the early window. Hopefully, Illinois can put up points and we get to see a little shootout in the morning. But we'll see. Another big game here is Alabama, number 17, going on the road at Georgia, number 5. This game, in my lifetime, it's always been a battle. Both teams are coming off a bye, so they're going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. They're going to be ready to hit. They always hit each other. But it feels like no matter how good this Georgia team is, they just can't seem to beat Alabama. I mean, Alabama is 10-2 against Georgia since 2010. And you wouldn't think it. Yeah.
Wow.
But, I mean, I think this Georgia team is arguably the best team in the country. And they're coming off the huge road win at Tennessee. Gunnar Stockton started to find himself. I think Georgia's going to win this one at home.
Wow. Last year, Georgia-Alabama was probably the game of the year. One of the best college football games I've ever seen in my life. Alabama was beating them so bad. It was like 28-7 or something. And out of absolutely nowhere, the Georgia offense turned it on. They took the lead on a bomb touchdown. And then on the next play, Ryan Williams took one to the house on a vintage play. If there's anything like that happens this weekend, we are in for a treat. Alabama, Georgia, just always a great game. And like you said, the Crimson Tide has had the Bulldogs number over the past 15 years.
This is actually only the second game since 2010 that is being played at Athens. So majority of their games have been at Alabama or in the SEC championship game. So this is really the second true home game for Georgia.
Wow, that could make a difference here. No, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you always think, obviously you feel like they play every year, but it's, the 11-0 or 12-0 versus 12-0 in the SEC championship game, a neutral site. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun to watch. We'll see if Georgia and Kirby Smart can kind of flip the narrative on Alabama versus Georgia.
Let's keep in mind, though, that neutral site is Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
But still, there's a lot of Alabama fans that make the journey.
Yeah. Another big game that I'm excited to watch is number 4 LSU going on the road at number 13 Ole Miss. We don't know who will be playing for QB for Ole Miss. They had Trinidad last week. He had 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 119 rush yards, just absolutely slinging it. So we're going to see if it's him or is it the lefty Austin Simmons. But the question is going to be is can Garrett Nussmeier and this Tigers offense find their groove and get ready to go?
First real, I guess LSU, obviously they played Clemson opening game, but first real big game of the year for LSU on the road at Ole Miss in a tough environment. And like Ole Miss has been scoring like crazy. That's kind of their thing. They don't really play much defense. They score a ton of points for Lane Kiffin, still throwing lobs on the sideline after wins. So we'll see how this game goes. LSU, I mentioned it in last week's episode. They scored a bunch of points this weekend, but they played an inferior opponent. I really want to see LSU's offense play against a good defense. Ole Miss's defense is very good, not like what I'm thinking of here, but it's going to be an interesting time to see Nussmeier in an environment like this year.
Another big question is LSU's defenses obviously look great to start the year, but you kind of look at the teams they play now. Florida's offense can't score. Clemson's offense can't score. So this will be the first real offense that defense has played this year because Ole Miss, they can score with anybody in the country. Yes. But the question with Lane Kiffin is the same question every year. He can't be ranked opponents. He's 11-24 in his career against ranked opponents. So, I mean, we'll see if he can change the narrative at home. It's going to be in Oxford, so that crowd is going to be rocking. And, boy, it is just going to be a treat to watch this one.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch. The over-under on that one? 55.5. I think maybe you take the over.
I think so, too. I mean, if you only watch LSU's games this year, you take the under. But if you only watch Ole Miss's games, you take the over. So
and it doesn't even really matter who's going to play quarterback for Ole Miss. Austin Simmons has been good. Trinidad Chambliss has been unbelievable in his 2 games playing quarterback. So we'll see who's healthy, if Simmons is healthy. But I have confidence in this Ole Miss offense no matter who's running it.
I agree. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders no matter who's at the helm. So, and then definitely the biggest game of the week. I believe this is game day.
It's got to be, right?
Number 6, Oregon, traveling to number 3, Penn State.
Is this the night game? Is this a whiteout?
I would love for it to be a whiteout.
God.
Let me check. It is a night game, yep.
Oh, boy.
Talk about tough places to play, man. When that stadium is in a whiteout, you are in for a treat. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is going to be, like we've kind of talked about it, the first real test for both of these teams. And it's coming in huge fashion. Penn State's defense has given up 5 points per game through 3 games. 5. That's less than a touchdown. But obviously they haven't played anybody. And I do think that is going to change this weekend. This Oregon has looked like continuously the best team in the country every single week. Dante Moore is off to a great start, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, obviously one of the hardest places to play, but I think if anybody can go in there and upset this Penn State team, it's going to be Dan Lanning and these Ducks. They're going to go in there and give this Nittany Lion team and their fans nothing to ride home happy about.
So that is game day. Game day will be at Happy Valley for Penn State, Oregon. That's going to be such an unbelievable game. The 7:30 window with Oregon at Penn State and Alabama at Georgia at the same time, it's just going to be, oh man, you're going to need 2 TVs for that one.
Yeah,
need it.
Wow,
oh my God, I can't wait for Saturday.
This is shaping up to be the best Saturday of the year, and we're just getting started. This is week 5.
Yeah, this is it. The conference tournament or conference schedules just started this past weekend. This is the second week of them. So we're just starting the season, the real season. So things are just going to keep getting better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game to watch. I mean, obviously Drew Aller's kind of off to a little bit of a slow start. With a guy that's that size and that much projectability, you obviously want him to look a little better, but it's kind of hard to put up insane numbers when you're still beating teams 45-0 when you're not really doing much. So, I mean, we're really going to see what he's made of this weekend. And Oregon, they kind of were forgotten about. They lost, Dylan Gabriel, everybody they had from last year went to the draft, but Dan Lanning, he gets these boys to play on Saturday, every single Saturday. It's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, so the Penn State preseason finally comes to an end. They're going to play a football game on Saturday. Can't wait to watch that one. So that's going to wrap it up. Week 5 preview, recap of week 4. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. Me and Sal breaking down college football. We'll be back after week 5, this absolute banger of a Saturday. What's looking to be the best college football Saturday of the year so far. And that's going to do it for us. Sal, you got anything else for the people?
I do have about 4 notable undefeated group of 5 teams that I do want everybody else to keep an eye on, that I will be keeping an eye on. North Texas, I believe they're the Mean Green Machine, Machine, whatever.
Sure, they just took down Army.
I'm sorry?
They just took down Army in overtime.
Big game, 45-38. So they're 4-0. They play South Alabama this week. I don't expect anybody to really tune into those games, but, keep an eye on them throughout the rest of the year because, as we know, a group of 5 team gets in the playoff every year. So they're a team to watch out for. Navy, they're 3-0. They're running that triple option to perfection. They play Rice at home this weekend. We obviously mentioned Memphis earlier. They're 4-0. A big SEC win last weekend. They play at FSU this weekend. And then another big notable team is UNLV and Dan Mullen. They're 4-0 as well. Huge comeback win against Miami of Ohio last weekend, who it was honestly a pretty fun game to watch. It was pretty wild. They won 41-38. It was the only lead of the game was their game-winning field goal.
And it was the first time ever that UNLV won a game in the Eastern time zone.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, but Dan Mullen has them boys playing football, and I'm sure Las Vegas is rocking a little bit.
Ooh, at Allegiant Stadium.
But yeah, that's going to do it for me, Frank. We got a lot of fun games to watch this weekend, and boy, I can't wait for Saturday.
I cannot wait. It's only Monday, but I can't wait. Saturday can't get here soon enough. So that's going to do it for us here on the Valley Valentine Sports Show. I'm Frank Rampin, Sal Grinstead right here, the man. We will see you next week. Peace out.